Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome to my channel. It's Monday and I am back at it and ready to go and delivering you all kinds of tea and news related to reality TV. If you missed anything going on this weekend, I only did a few streams. I did one about the Duggars. I did one about getting ready with me because I wanted to do my makeup and have fun with you guys. And yesterday I had an impromptu Instagram live with Lilia Tarawa from Gloriavale. But this morning we are going to talk about Sister Wives because there's been a lot of questions about whether or not the show is going to come back for a 15th season. Okay, so here's what's going on. When the season ended on season 14, there was a lot of questions because the way that the season ended felt very like nothing had been tied up. In fact, they hadn't closed on the house that Robin and Kody had been bickering about in the entire season. The birth of Maddie's daughter, Evie, was in the finale, but it was, and some information released about her health. But beyond that, not a ton about why, Mary and Robin weren't there. And then there was the couch scene at the end, which had a lot of people sort of scratching their heads because typically at the end of seasons, they've always had the wives, all of the wives, sitting with Kody to sort of sum up the series, or the season. And on the final episode, it was very, I don't know, haphazardly put together. And it's hard to know if this was supposed to be the season finale or if what happened with the current situation in the United States impacted it. And there's not going to be a tell-all, which is crazy because that's been a mainstay for everyone to watch to sort of tie up some of the loose ends and answer some of the questions that fans had as they've seen throughout the season. One of the things that we didn't get caught up at all on this season was the status of Kody and Christine's daughter, Ysabel. So in the last season, all they did was move. We didn't really even see the kids. We didn't see much of the kids at all. We saw Mariah, we saw Maddie, we saw the older kids, but for the most part, it was the younger kids, and their storylines were just not a part of it. Recently, there's been questions to Christine, to Kody, to everyone, is the show's coming back, and what's going on with Isabelle. Now, if you remember, Isabelle and her journey with scoliosis had been a featured point of her storyline, and in previous seasons they had discussed options that they were taking in order to avoid medical procedures to repair the curve in her back. And without a lot of information about what's going on with Isabelle, a lot of fans were starting to worry and starting to question, like, is she okay? Has everything gone okay? What's going on? Does she need surgery? And apparently Christine was on Instagram Live. Now, Facebook Live. Christine has a group for LuLaRoe where she sells and shills her leggings and tops that are through the MLM, and she also answers questions and interacts with her guests or her, I don't know, purchasers or lurkers, whatever, buyers, customers, whatever you want to call them. And during one of her most recent Q&As, which was caught by Soap Dirt, she talked with her fans and took questions. And one of the questions was, how is Isabelle? And she actually slipped. So there's been no actual official word from TLC about whether or not the show will be returning for a 15th season. But she said that Isabelle was doing well, but she couldn't answer questions because she signed a non-disclosure agreement with TLC, and it's part of Isabelle's storyline. So I guess that means they're coming back. I guess. She can't elaborate further. Okay. Now, Isabelle recently was with her mother taking photos in her beautiful prom dress. I shared photos of that on Instagram because she missed her prom due to what's going on in the world. But with the fact that there's a non-disclosure agreement and she can't answer questions about the status of Isabelle, and she said it's a storyline, think about that. That's so gross to me. My daughter's health is a storyline. Anyways, that's just my thought. She is theoretically saying that this is going to be another season. And I think this is a pretty safe assumption to make based on that statement as well, because even though they moved the Sister Wives from the 8 o'clock to the 9 o'clock time slot, and they placed it behind 90 Day Fiancé, the show's ratings were up like a lot. Like they were up millions. They had gone up dramatically between season 13 and season 14. And going into season 14, there was questions on whether or not this was going to be the last season. And it seemed as though by moving the show to the 9 o'clock time slot, which is kind of a kiss of death on a Sunday, people were assuming that it was going to be the final season of the show. Well, having an anchor of 90 Day Fiancé and Before the 90 Days seemed to help this series tremendously with the ratings, despite the fact that the storyline for this season with the moving and the round robin of houses, or the merry-go-round of housing and fighting with the wives, seemed to really bore people. People were still tuning in droves to watch everything that was going on with the Browns. Now, considering everything that's going on with the Browns and the fact that they still haven't built on Coyote Pass, Robin and Kody actually plunked down a ton of cash for a home, which they purchased and recently took out a $150,000 home equity line from. Yeah, that's right. It seems as though the only way that this family is going to be able to maintain their lavish lifestyle, and by lavish, I mean the home that he purchased with Robin was over close to $900,000. Seriously. And they already have other houses and properties, so much debt. And they have to theoretically continue with the show if they plan to continue to move forward. And I'm guessing, given that the ratings were up and they made the network probably a lot of money for a little cash, because if you remember back in season 11, in order to stay on the air, Kody actually took a huge pay cut. He cut the income of the family by down to 1/5 of what they were making. They made as a season now $180,000 for the entire family, when previously they were each making that up until season 11. Way to go, Kody. You're such a great financier. So with season 15 theoretically, or actually appearing to be green lighted, are you excited to hear about this? Are you hopeful that there will be storylines beyond the, housing? Do you want to see the kids again? Do you hope to see some more stability? Will you tune into a 15th season, or are you completely over it? I know for me, I would like to get some closure with what happened last season. I would like to see what happens with the house. I would like to find out what's going on with Mary. I want to see what's going to happen with Isabelle. I'm interested to see whether or not there's going to be a fifth wife. That's been one of the biggest elephants in the room, you guys. I get so many questions about, is there a fifth wife? And I did a video about it. And at this point, there's some inklings that there could be, but there's nothing to substantiate it. And without any sort of substantiation, and there were some rumblings online back in the winter of 2019 that he had married another woman. However, this past season showed the winter of 2019 with no additional wife appearing. So if a wife existed and she wasn't shown on this season, I can't believe that there actually is a fifth wife, or that there was a fifth wife in 2019. And that rumor started by someone adding a name to Wikipedia, which, by the way, anyone can edit Wikipedia. And there's been no substantiation or anything from the family. And this is not a family that typically keeps these types of things quiet. That doesn't mean that he might not take a fifth wife, but as far as the rumors from last year, I do not think that happened, or if it did, it ended because it was not filmed. So if there is a fifth wife, or going to be a fifth wife, we haven't seen it yet. And I would say last year's rumors are just that, rumors. But because it's polygamy, because it's Kody, because people think Kody will do anything for ratings and do anything for a storyline, I wouldn't cancel out that he consider a fifth wife to add more drama. And with things getting more tense with Robin and his marriage with Mary sort of being severed at this point, which, by the way, they did not acknowledge each other on their 30th wedding anniversaries this past week, would it be safe to assume that he adds another wife so that he can get that high spot in his celestial kingdom? I don't know. I don't put anything past Kody Brown at this point. But Either way, I'm glad to hear that Isabel's doing well. I'm eager to see what happens in season 15 and if we will actually see what's going on with her. I do hope she gets the correct medical care that she needs. And I'm also, I don't know, are you going to tune in? Are you not going to tune in? I mean, I know you guys are going to tune in, right? You guys are obsessed with Sister Wives. I can't see why you wouldn't tune in. All right, you guys. Oh, and one more thing. If you're missing out on Sister Wives content, there is a ton of polygamy content out there that you can watch. Some seasons that you could catch up on are Seeking Sister Wives, which was a 2 or 3 season show on TLC. There's not been any news whether or not that show is coming back or if it's been canceled. There is a series that is on Netflix called 3 Wives, 1 Husband, which is a 4-part documentary about a family that lives in Utah. There's Escaping Polygamy, which is on Lifetime. There's a bunch you can search if you want to find that type of contact. And then there's My 5 Wives, which was, I believe, 1 season or 2 seasons on TLC back in 2014. So if you want to check those archives out, also Amazon Prime has a ton of documentaries if you are interested in more about the FLDS. All right, you guys, so that's all I've got for now. Are you excited to hear about it or are you done? Let me know in comments. Bye.